Hey everyone, welcome to our last chapter, chapter 18. With this one, we're going to learn about metabolic pathways and energy productions and why we actually care. So in this example, they're using the example of vet tech and why it matters. Well, they're going to help care for pets, farm animals, help record the animal's symptoms, medical histories, do the CBCs, the urinalysis, as well as fecals, etc. So what they're trying to do is look for anomalies in different processes. So to understand what an anomaly would be, we first have to understand what the basic metabolic pathways are, okay, and our homeostatic levels. So as we know from our previous chapters, ATP is the energy storage molecule. This is going to link energy producing reactions with energy requiring reactions in the cell. So we have catabolic reactions that are going to break things down. We have anabolic that are going to build things up. So I always say that my cat named Sophie, she likes to break things, so that's the catabolic. Where anabolic, think back to the days when people were using anabolic steroids. They used them to bulk up, okay? So basically, for anabolic reactions, we are going to be building the ATP catabolic, we're going to be breaking it down. So looking at metabolism, so this is how our body breaks down different food groups. Metabolism involves all chemical reactions that provide energy and substances that are needed for growth and basic functioning of our cells. Catabolic reactions, again, those are the ones that are going to break down large, complex molecules into smaller molecules, and then they can provide energy through this process of breaking them down into smaller molecules. Where anabolic reactions are those that are going to bulk up or build. They also, since they're building something, actually have to use a little bit of energy. So anabolic reactions require energy where catabolic reactions do not. So looking at the stages of metabolism, catabolic reactions specifically are organized into stages. Stage one is we eat. Okay, so we have to digest and break down our large molecules into smaller ones so that then they can enter into the bloodstream and go to where they need to go to be able to be broken down into fuel. Stage two is we're degrading those molecules down to the 1 and 2, 3 carbon compounds so that we can actually use them. Pyruvate is a great example of that. We break sugar, glucose, down to pyruvate, which is a 3 carbon sugar, and then that goes into acetyl-CoA, etc. Oxidation is step 3, and this is where we are oxidizing small molecules in the citric acid cycle and the electron transport chain to provide ATP energy. So oxidation is actually adding that phosphate onto the group to make the ATP. So in all 3 stages of catabolism, large molecules from foods are digested and degraded into smaller molecules that then can be oxidized to produce energy. So looking at that 3-stage pathway, this is kind of fun. Okay, you have your stage 1, your stage 2, and your stage 3. We have 3 major groups of food that we eat. We have proteins, we have carbs, and we have lipids or fats. So I say the perfect meal is a Snickers bar because you have protein, fat, and sugars. Right? And so anyway, but we break them down into the commonality of acetyl-CoA. And once we get to acetyl-CoA, then that's going to go into the citric acid cycle, which I like to say is, step 2, but here they're calling it stage 3. And then the last step would be the electron transport chain, where we're actually producing a lot of energy. So where is all of this happening? Well, that would be in the mitochondria. And so there's a joke, and it's it's not a joke, it's a saying, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And that's because power our body uses is ATP. So the powerhouse, the mitochondria, is where we're going to make this ATP in order to fuel our body. So this is a great summary table with the different functions and components that are involved in metabolism in the animal cells. So we have our cell membrane, cytoplasm, cytosol, the ER, the Golgi, lysosomes, mitochondria, nucleus, and ribosomes. So we are going to discuss all of these. Okay, so what is ATP and energy? Well, in the body, energy is stored as ATP. ATP's full name is adenosine triphosphate. And what this means is that we have 3 triphosphates, 1, 2, 3, on an adenosine backbone. And the adenosine is an adenine plus a ribose. So these together make the backbone, the adenosine backbone, and then the tri means 3, 1, 2, 3. So where the energy is stored in ATP is actually in between the bonds between these phosphates, okay? So when we snap one off, it now no longer has 3 phosphates, it only has 2. So it becomes ADP, okay? And then if you snap off another one, then you end up going down to AMP. And again, look for those root words. Tri is 3, di is 2, mono is 1. Well, how do we do this? We use water to lyse. Hydrolysis. So hydrolysis, you can pronounce it either way, right? Hydrolysis, hydrolysis. But we're using water to break or lyse apart those bonds. So every time we contract a muscle, kind of like I'm doing with my finger here, right? We move substances across the cellular membranes. We're going to send nerve signals, or we're going to make an enzyme, and all this requires energy. And so we need to have energy from that breaking down, or the hydrolysis of ATP. So the hydrolysis of ATP down to ADP, remember di meaning 2, releases about 7.3 kilocalories per mole of ATP. Okay, so then we have our ATP broken down into our ADP. Remember, we have to account for everything. So we have this PI, and this is called like inorganic phosphate, because phosphate's kind of like a wimp, and he doesn't want to be by himself, so he gets surrounded by molecules, right? So that's why it's PI, but this is the inorganic phosphate. And then we also are going to be producing 7.3 kilocalories per mole. And then again, ADP can break down further to become AMP, and again, that reaction would release 7.3 kilocalories per mole. So we use energy from ATP hydrolysis every time we do anything in our body, from moving substances across cellular membranes, unless it's passive diffusion, but other than that, if it's active and it requires energy, the energy is ATP, to send the nerve signals from my brain down to my mouth so that I can be moving my lips and talking right now, and also to synthesize an enzyme. We talked about an enzyme before and how those are functional proteins, right? So in a cell that's doing work, which would be called an anabolic process, because we're building up, 1 to 2 million ATP molecules may be broken or hydrolyzed in 1 second. So that's quite a bit. Well, what happens? It's not just one simple process. Our body is very complex. And so we also have calcium activation from ATP hydrolysis. So those nerve impulses in the muscles, they're going to open those calcium channels, and they're going to allow calcium ions to flow into the muscle fibers. Well, increasing this calcium concentration in the muscle fibers, you guys learned in AMP, this is going to activate that muscle to contract, and it's going to use the energy that we made from the hydrolysis or breaking apart of ATP. Okay. So we also, the muscle contraction continues as long as we have both ATP and calcium, and those levels are high around the filaments, the muscle filaments, right? And then when the nerve impulse ends, the calcium channels close. And then this calcium concentration decreases as energy from ATP pumps the remaining calcium out of the filaments, and then that causes the muscle to relax and then recover, right? Think of your synapses and stuff like that. All right, so that's the synapses isn't the word I was looking for, but it works. Okay, so let's apply this. So let's classify each of the following as ATP or ADP plus that inorganic phosphate. A, B, C, or D. Okay, pause me and come back. Okay, so what is the energy that's used in those anabolic or building reactions? That's ATP. What is the energy storage molecule? ATP. What is coupled with energy requiring reactants? That would also be ATP. But when we're using the hydrolysis to hydrolyze, break apart, then that would be giving us the ADP and the inorganic phosphate. All right, great job.